Sorry about that. I got caught up in what I was doing and I forgot about the time. And I'm looking at the clock. I'm thinking, oh, jumping, here we go. And I'm late. I got to sign into the thingamajigger yet. Hold on. Give me 1 minute. I just got behind. I was doing some research on today's topic, and it just sort of was a bit on the overwhelming side. And I lost track of everything. So anyway, you're listening to the Microfreq Broadcasting Network. Hi, I'm your host, Tony Pantalleresco. This is The Remedy. And as soon as I get into the chat room, I will continue with the show. I'm going to start off sort of kind of unusual, in some unusual matter. Well, what else is new with me anyway? I do the unusual. How many of you actually believe that your thoughts are yours? How many actually believe that your thoughts are yours? How many actually believe that you are in complete control of your thinking? How many are actually believing that your concepts, ideas, dreams, goals, aspirations are all yours? Oh, what's going on here now? Give me 1 second. This thing won't let me in. How many of you actually believe that everything that about you is all you? How many of you actually think that? How many of you actually think that you are in control of your destiny, that you are in charge, that you are a free person? How many actually believe this? Now, what if I told you that all that I just said to you was all programmed into you to accept this as a truism, as a fact, as whatever? How many of you have ideas of what sex is all about? How many of you actually have some concept about sex and you think you have it, you got a handle on what sex is and how you should be with a man or a woman? How many of you actually got this in your head thinking this is how it is, this is what it is, whatever? What if I told you that a majority of our thoughts, majority of our processes, the majority of our thinking has all been programmed to us, and not just in a subliminal way. We watch television and we say, oh yeah, we're getting blah, blah, blah. Getting the hidden messages from the commercials. How many of you feel that being sedated and calm and in control is the way you have to be, is the way you should conduct yourself? How many of you actually believe this as well? I'm not talking about civil unrest. I'm not talking about starting a revolution. I'm talking being in a state of sedation. How many actually believe that as well? There was a TV show years ago, and I can't think of the name of the title of the show, but there's a scenario there where the guy, he just gets mad. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. And he announces this. He says, I want you to go to your doors, and I want you to go to your windows, and I want you to lift up the windows, and I want you to yell out, really scream out, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. I forget the name of the show, but that's what you have to do. You have to let it out. You have to shout it out. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. And you're going to ask me, boy, what's that going to accomplish? You have no idea. You have no idea. See, we've all been in a state of constant programming, constant conditioning, if you will. Why is it that the United States of America has such violent activity going on? Did you think that just happened? Why is it that in Canada you have this sedated apathy in this country? Where a politician can basically crap on your hand and it's okay, nobody makes any movement, makes any changes, does anything. Why do you think Europe is in such a state of sedation when it's being invaded silently and quietly and it's being allowed by the political stripe that they have in their respective countries? Why are Europeans saying, chuck you Farley? Because we're all being sedated with devices and technology that will blow your mind. I was looking at something today, and I started doing the report on it, and I only got to page 6 out of 25. But it had such an alarming impact on me. I had to walk away from this thing about 10 times. I couldn't believe the horse hockey here. And a lot of this started back in the 50s and 60s with AM and FM. All the music that we grew up with, all of it was nothing but programming, and conditioning, and what they were doing with the music in itself was a frequency. But then they were pumping out other frequencies that we can't hear with the audible ear. Our ears won't pick it up, but our brains do. Our brains do. And as a result, our brains get processed with the programming. And there are so many different things that the respective governments and military industrial complexes, which we were warned about by other presidents, to be aware of the military industrial complex, that they have conducted heinous experiments on all of us. And as a result, we're seeing more and more people breaking down as a result of the exploitation, experimentation, and conditioning and damage that's being done to all of us irrespectively. One by one, we are all going to feel the wrath of this experiment. It's unfrickin' believable what is actually going on. The blue beam frequencies that they're using is, again, designed to go into our visual cortex to attack, to send in messages through AM. Amplitude modulation, AM frequencies. That's what we used to listen to on the radio. Remember the old AM and FM radios? Remember those of you from the generation from another day and time, from the generation I came from? We used to have those little pocket radios, we used to have the AM and FM bands, and if we didn't like what was going on in the AM, we didn't want to listen to the bubblegum music that was on the AM, we turned on the FM, we listen to that hard rock music. Did you know that even the disc jockeys that they hired, they utilize specific voices because they modulated a certain band frequency that was utilized as a form of hypnosis. That's why when you listen to the FM bands, they all pretty well sounded the same, almost on a monotone tone. And I don't know if that's still going on today because I don't listen to the radio, I don't listen to anything, I don't watch TV even. But that was the reason why those disc jockeys talked the way they did. On the AM dial, they were more, they were all over the place. But the FM, they were sophisticated. They were going to speak very monotone, and they were going to say, oh yeah, this is really deep and dark, and boy, this is so bad, and this is so cool, and yeah, man, it's really happening. And they would talk in that manner, in that fashion, so that they could, in effect, create that stage of hypnosis so that you would be inundated with whatever they were saying. And whatever they were saying wasn't the message that was being presented. It was what you didn't hear that was being the message that was going into your brain and activating your brain. A lot of us today would not have even married the people we got married to. That's why a lot of these marriages fell apart, because a lot of this had to do with the conditioning and the programming. And we followed that program paradigm just so that up the road they could cause the chaos that they cause in marriages. We are looking at things today that have been in effect for the last 40 or 50 years. This, like I said, this report was so staggeringly stunning and shocking that, like I said, I had to walk away from it a couple of times. I'm going to read to you from the report, and doing, I will be probably talking about this in the next show as well, because this thing is so intense. In regard to the type of attachment and attacking that's going on. It's just insanity what is happening. And this is why we are in the state we are in today with the millennials. The millennials have had 5 generations of this programming from generation to generation to generation. This is why they're so stupid today, is because of all that's been going on. Okay, the title of this message is called Synthetic Telepathy. Okay, this is an actual military, this is a government military program called Synthetic Telepathy. And like I said, I'm going to read all through this thing and get into different parts of it and explain how we got screwed up, how we got messed up, how we are still messed up, yeah, even in our thinking. We are still following the paradigm of the programming that they put into us for 50 years. With the MK Ultra people that they program, they can be triggered, and so can we, without us being aware of it. How many of you are getting thoughts, all kinds of thoughts, whether they be panic thoughts, whether they be fear thoughts, whether they be violent thoughts, sexual thoughts, disaster thoughts, what if kind of thoughts, thoughts where you're completely unsettled. You have no peace because your mind can't shut down. Did you ever think that it's not that the mind can't shut down, that it's constantly being having frequencies directed at it? Like I said, you can't hear the audible, but you can hear the message in the brain. Here we go. Yeah. I thought about that. Yeah, someone's saying, oh, Sorcery Day. Oh. It's incredible what they've done. Let me read some stuff to you. I'm going to throw out some terms. I'm going to throw out a patent. Let me find the patent. I'll put it in the chat room. I want you guys to look up this patent. It's like I said, incredible, just incredible. Okay, the patent number is patent number 5,159,703, and it's called Silent Subliminal Presentation Systems. I'll post this in the chat room so you guys can have a look, take a walk on the wild side. Time to get caught up. Okay, that's the patent. Okay, again, let me read it for those of you who are tuning into the show and you're not in the chat room, which you might want to one day join and come on in and make friends. You know, in regard to some of the stuff we put out here. But anyway, patent number 5,159,703. It's called Silent Subliminal Presentation System. Oh, everything that we've ever done, any of us who were born in the 50s, 60s, whatever, and past that, we've all been following a paradigm of programming. We have not been following any form of free will thinking. In fact, we've been walking around asleep, literally, through hypnosis, through all the frequencies that they have pumped into us for the last 50 years. That's why none of this stuff is making any sense, because it's been a controlled experiment, and we are the experiment. So when you're looking at some of the things that are, again, I'm going to talk about, some of the things in some of you are, it's going to be like, oh, really? Geez, no wonder I'm feeling what I'm feeling. No wonder I am thinking what I'm thinking. No wonder I am, perceiving what I'm perceiving. What is going on today? So let me take a look. Let me get you there. Let me get you there. I'm going to be all over this report. Like I said, I've only got 6 pages done out of 27. And in fact, you can actually buy some of the technology if these places are still around. Let me read this. In 1972, just after completing the holographic concept of reality, I was working with Dr. Carl Schieker at MRU at the time. He was asked about the significance of his work, realizing its possible use in mind control. My first reaction was to go on red. Alert, full significance was not yet understood at this time. Basically, Frey had discovered another sensory motor input in the higher blue band frequencies. Okay, in the higher blue band frequencies. Anybody want to wear some yellow lenses? 0.3 to 3.0 gigahertz at very low amplitudes at your AM frequency. It was as if we had another type of vision but did not know how to see what was being received. It constituted the next generation of subliminal communication. They put my work, the guy's work at the time was involving AI database for paranormal references. The title of the research was Embryonic Holography. Okay. It is an application of the holographic concept of reality. It dealt with biogenesis and neurological regeneration and included speculation on the origins of cancer, fate healing, psychic surgery, and so forth. Embryonic holography. Okay, so they reported that humans could hear microwaves. Oh, can you? 1961. 1961. This was the generation of prototype exploration. Any of you born in the mid-50s, 60s, guess what? You're it. Frey found that human subjects exposed to 1310 megahertz and 2982 megahertz microwave at average power densities of 0.4 to 0.2 microwave centimeter cubed perceived auditory sensations described as buzzing or knocking sounds. Now, since 1960, the term tinnitus was being used to cover up this technology that they were releasing on the general population. And I've been saying this for years and years and years, that tinnitus didn't exist, it doesn't exist, it never did existed. What we've got going on is an actual direct frequency attaching the auditory part of the brain. I've been saying that forever too. And as we go on, this report will validate what I've been telling you. Okay, so I'll continue here for a second. I'll be switching back and forth. Let me go back here. All right, pulse microwave technology. Okay, I'm not sure why. For other sounds, the skull transmission was discovered during World War II. Okay, we're talking 1940s. By radar technicians who found they could hear the buzz of the train of pulses being transmitted by radar equipment that they were working on. There's been published in a number of reference books what Dr. Frey found was a single pulse of microwave could be heard by some people as pops, clicks, or pulses, and heard as a buzz. How many of you are hearing these sounds? Buzzes, clicks, pulses, frequencies, pops. Guess what? You're being hit with a frequency band in a microwave, on a microwave level. Like I said, you don't have tinnitus. You never had tinnitus. This was another quick fix for the doctors to sell you medications for a condition that didn't even exist. It doesn't exist. What we're all hearing today with the pop, whistles, buzzes, and high-pitched sounds are the terahertz frequencies and the higher bands of microwave frequencies that they're activating to geoengineer the atmosphere or to create anomalies with people. Voice to skull and other types of brain access technology. With this technology, they can sedate you. And I've said this before. When you look at some of the incidences that happened in the United States in the last 2 or 3 years where a police officer had shot a man of color, and all of a sudden the people in the community raised an uproar over what had happened, you notice that the police were on the outer perimeter of where these people had been responding, reacting, holding up picket signs, the whole 9 yards. And then within a matter of days, the whole situation had been blown over completely. No fuss, no muss, no gus. It's all gone. How does that happen? I remember back when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s when the riots were going on, that lasted 5 and 10 years, that reaction. Matter of days, gone. What happened? How did that happen? How could that have happened? An incident of that magnitude all of a sudden subsided in a matter of days? Do you think possibly there was some kind of activity on mind control or mind programming? I'm going to read on, and you can decide. Dr. Frey also found that a wide range of frequencies as low as 125 megahertz, well below microwave, worked for some combination of pulse power and pulse width. Detailed unclassified studies mapped out those frequencies and pulses characteristics which are optimum for generation of microwave hearing. Is the fact that peak pulse power required is modest, something like 0.3 watts per square centimeter of skull surface. And this power level is only applied or needed for a small percentage of each pulse cycle. 0.3 watts square centimeter is about what you get under a 250 watt heat lamp at a distance of 1 meter. That's like an infrared light. It's not a lot of power. The average power is so low as to be nearly undetectable. Each sensitive frequency is actually a range of band of frequencies. So it's not just one frequency you're getting hit with. It's a conglomeration or a combination of different bands of frequencies. Imagine that a multiple bandwidth of frequencies you still think tinnitus exists, alive from the medical for over 40 years. It doesn't exist, never did, never will. What we're all hearing today, the buzzing, the popping, the high pitch, the shrill, whatever, is all frequencies that you're being hit with and targeted with. A technology used to reduce both interference and detection is called spread spectrum because you're using so many different bands. Spread spectrum signals usually have the carrier frequency hop around within a specified band. Unless the receiver knows this hop schedule in advance, like other forms of encryption, there's virtually no chance of receiving or detecting a coherent, readable signal. In other words, you'd have to have equipment to be able to read this. And that's something everybody may start wanting to look and investigate and getting frequency kind of meters that can actually read these frequencies so you know when you're being assaulted and maybe take a stand and how to scramble it. Now, before I go on, I'm going to mention something here in regard to what you can do to scramble some of this activity. We are dealing with technologies that are incredibly dangerous. And one of the things that will disrupt a frequency is a high ionized atmosphere. And a high ionized atmosphere can occur as a result of a thunderstorm, electrical storm, or a massive discharge of some kind of electrical or electromagnetic pulse discharge. Now, for those of you who live in the United States of America, not every state allows these things to be had, so I'm going to, tell you to use your own discretion how you get access to these things. I'm not going to tell you not to do so. I'm not going to tell you to do so. I'm going to leave this to your own discretion. But those 5 million and 10 million and 20 million zappers for your defense, you might want to get a couple of those, keep them around, and every so often cause a major electrical discharge, walk around the room, and you'll find that you'll get some momentary relief from that effect because you will have ionized the air. The other thing you might want to do is build yourself a small little Tesla coil and set it on a timer so it goes off maybe every 20 minutes or every hour so that the air stays in a state of charge where the frequencies cannot get through. Or you might want to build a Jacob's ladder, or again, setting it on a timer where it will go off for a couple moments, just enough to create a discharge of the particulates in the air. When I look at Tesla technologies and look at some of the Tesla things and some of the pictures of Tesla, I get the impression this was not just about free energy. This was about him protecting himself because he knew he was being assaulted. When you look at, I hear the music. All right, come on back and we're going to get more into this. We'll see you in a bit. Hey, we are back in the flesh. This is the Microeffect Broadcasting Network. I'm your host, and this show is The Remedy. Okay, somebody asked some questions. You are being, Tony, white spot showing on my legs. Is that nano? That's not just nano. That's nano with terahertz. You're being hit with a terahertz frequency. There's something I want to put you guys in the chat room. This is something, if you haven't seen this, you need to go and listen to this program. This program was amazing. This guy was on the button on all of it, and you need to pay attention to what he's saying. I'll put it in the chat room again. This guy is talking about the different levels of technology that we've had, 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G, and why we're going where we're going, and why we're heading in a way we're going on. And he talks about how 1G, when 1G was first introduced, it was only about telephone. I call you, you call me, the bandwidth was low, there wasn't hardly any damage, people weren't getting sick, some were getting, the percentage of people being affected were nominal. When 2G came along, they started adding texting to the telephone. More people started getting sick, and he's proclaiming that it's caused a flu epidemic during that time. 3G came along, you're allowed to stream a little bit, the music and so forth and so on. And every time they created an advancement in the cell phone, the bandwidth had to increase, the frequencies had to increase, and as a result, more and more people kept breaking down. By the time 4G came along, 4G was about you able to watch YouTube shows, television programming, and any other kind of video format going on. As a result, there was an intensification of, again, more bandwidth. We needed more towers. And this is the thing. This is the thing he pointed out as well. People are like monkeys. Monkeys will reach into a jar to grab a bunch of nuts, but are unable to pull the hand out of the jar because the hand now has got a load of nuts in it, and if they let go, the hand can come free. Everybody that's using these bloody cell phones are in part responsible for what's going on in the environment, because what he was presenting as well was this. Every time you get on a cell phone and you make a call, it's accessing that tower, which is now accessing a network, which is now broadcasting on that network, and it's killing the environment. Your trees are dying because they're being microwaved, the grasses are dying, animals are dying. And with 5G, what he's also presenting is 5G is going to be using a laser-like technology. So what's happening now, instead of a microwave frequency band, you're going to be in the higher bands with laser, and you'll still have the microwave as well. But what happens now is if a bird or an insect or some animal should be in the line of fire when that beam goes off, guess what? It's gone. Zap. All gone. Dead. That's where they're taking us with this 5G bunk. And the amount of damage that this is going to cause, the level of radiation and output that this is going to cause, is going to be immeasurable. If you're having health issues now, or whether they're respiratory issues, head issues, heart issues, digestive issues, this is going to impale those issues and make them exponentially worse. Your kids need to be gotten away from these damn phones. They should not have access to these cell phones. And the only reason they should even be functioning for adults is in case of emergency, not to yammer and yip yap about doing selfies or talking a lot of horse hockey. I was on a train going up north to help another activist in an event or whatever, and this woman was on this phone, and she was on that bloody phone for 3 frickin' hours talking about absolutely nothing. Zip. Oh, I got a hangnail up my arse. Oh, my dress is red today. Oh, I mean, idle BS for nothing. And that frequency is being activated against even the environment. Okay, Gia, I'm going to tell you again. Either you listen or you don't. Okay? You do whatever you want. That is a terahertz frequency. You are being nuked by terahertz frequencies. If you've been paying attention to the shows, if you go on my website and look up terahertz, you can see the damage that this is causing. That's not fungal. That is DNA damage that's affecting you. If you're seeing white spots starting to form, that's because you're in a bandwidth or an area of band that is being targeted using terahertz. Go look it up. Go study. Don't assume nothing. Don't take any guesses. It looks like this. It looks like that. It could look like the man in the moon. Get your facts before you make any assumptions. Okay? When you're looking up, sometimes I'm amazed. I'm amazed. God. Why are you out in the sun in the first place? The sky is loaded with nanoparticles. What do you think the sun is doing to those particles, Gia? What do you think is happening when the frequency from those solar heaters are hitting the air with those nanoparticles and you being outside? What do you think is happening? Okay, what do you think is happening? Go look up. For those of you who are not familiar with what a terahertz frequency is, go on augmentinforce.com. Okay, go look up terahertz. It's in the directory of content on the bottom right side. It'll have a flashing new there. Go and research. I don't know how many times I've got to say we are not living in 1970 anymore. We are living in a whole different world. To assume that you can do what you did 30 years ago, in my humblest opinion, is insanity. The food you're eating, the air you're breathing is loaded with this nanobiology. So I'm not sure why you're not thinking. Well, I do know why you're not thinking. You're probably not thinking because you're being pulsed with a frequency that's affecting the way you think. You're following the same old program. And this is what happens. This is why I keep telling you, everybody needs to change their pattern. You know, everybody has to change their pattern. Don't get caught up in a rut, because this is what the AI system is looking at, your patterns. And then they start hitting you with frequencies without you being aware of. Like I said, the article is telling you here that you cannot hear the signal. Your brain does. And then you start following whatever the programming of the brain says. You got to start learning to catch your thoughts. You got to start learning how to stop and quiet yourself so you can hear these thoughts, so you can see these patterns in your mind. Okay, I've explained this also before, that when you're in front of a computer doing anything of a high level of concentration, the right side of your brain will be data mined. The left side of your brain will be data mined. The front part of your lobe will be data mined. Okay, the right side of the brain usually has to do with trauma, fear, apprehension, anxiety, stress, death, loss, the negative things that are buried deep into your mind. These frequencies can pull out. The left side of your brain has to do with seduction, pleasure, happy moments, and so forth and so on. The front part of your brain has to do with chaos, where you'll see people that are familiar with your thoughts, or familiar in your mind, and will start doing weird, crazy things. So, when you're looking at some of the things going on today, when you go outside, you might want to cover up. You might want to block some of the access to your body. It may sound a little nuts, but we are living in a nutty time. Now, we have to start dealing with 2018. You got to start thinking in 2018, because the way they're going about this with these frequencies, a lot of you, if you're not in that time frame and that thought process, are not going to be here. You'll be wiped out, won't even know what hit you. And I'm not kidding you on this. This report is just sent that home hard. The frequencies that we need to learn to understand to stop are the ones that are accessing our brain. They're even telling you that they can turn these things on and you wouldn't even know that they're on unless you had the equipment to be able to determine that they are on. How many of you have done dumb things? I mean, just out of the blue, you just had an impulse. You just had some kind of spontaneity come over you. And you did something really stupid, really silly. Did you ever think for a second that that may actually have been a frequency going into your head, and your brain interpreted that as a command, and you just did whatever it told you? Did you ever consider that? When we're talking about things today, okay, and you understand even historically what happened in the past, what's been going on in the past, how these, in the ancient times, they were also exposed to the same kind of technology, and that information has been hidden from us, has been camouflaged, if you will, or has been made to be, oh no, we're the most advanced people that ever walked the planet. Everything is double speech today. Double speech means is you say one thing and it means the opposite. In other words, if we're the most advanced people that ever walked on the earth today, it is actually saying we are the dumbest people that ever walked on the earth today. That's what that really means. Can we use regular halogen bulbs? Yeah, you can. You can. It gives you a limited frequency, but yeah, you can use it. You got to remember, the sun's frequency, the yellow frequency of the sun is being blocked so that the blue beams can have a stronger impact on your brain. The blue beam frequencies is what is causing the brain to become programmed. You know, they've done this. You can go look it up. There's lots of studies on there how they use blue beam to actually even shape the brain of a rodent. And they're going through the eyes. When you walk into the stores, you get facial recognition. That's blue beam. When you're in front of your computer, watching your cell phone, watching TV with the Blu-ray television, that's blue beam. When you're driving down the street and you see cars with your yellow lenses on and they're emitting a green hue from their headlights, that's blue beam. When you're looking at the street lights and you got the yellow lenses on and they're emitting a green hue, that's also blue beam. When you're buying all these CFL light bulbs that are out on the market today, they are all emitting a high band of blue beam frequency. That's why they wanted you to shift from tungsten or incandescent light to the CFLs. That's why they wanted you to go that way. So again, you know, all I can tell you is pay attention to these shows. Go look at these things up for yourself. When I get this report up, we will post it so that everybody will have an access to seeing what is really going on and how, unbeknownst to you, you could be actually following a paradigm you're not even aware of. The actual method, they were talking about using a technology to reduce the interference and detection. So again, they came up with this back in 1974. The sensation is reported as a buzzing, clicking, or hissing, which seems to originate within or just behind the head. Again, this is blowing out the door tinnitus. You don't have tinnitus. What you're hearing is a frequency. Microwave auditory effects and applications. It explores the possible mechanisms for the phenomena and discussion possibilities for the deaf, as persons with certain types of hearing loss can still hear pulsed microwaves as tones or clicks and buzzes if words aren't modulated on it. The capability of communicating directly with humans by pulsed microwaves is obviously not limited to the field of therapeutic medicine. It can and is being weaponized. So we're talking synthetic telepathy. One of the most widely observed and accepted biologic effects of low average power electromagnetic energy is the auditory sensations evoked in men when exposed to pulsed microwaves. He concluded that at frequencies where the auditory effects can be easily detected, microwaves penetrate deep into the tissue of the head, causing rapid thermal expansion at the microscopic level only, that produce strains in the brain tissue. Okay, and an acoustic stress wave is then conducted through the skull to the cochlea, and from there it proceeds in the same manner as conventional hearing. So they're going through the auditory. Again, this is expressing to you that tinnitus doesn't exist. This is telling you that this is all being done through frequency modulation and causing thermal damage on a tissue level so that they can then create any kind of acoustic stress that goes into the cochlea, through the ear passageway. Today, the ability to remotely transmit microwave voices inside targets' heads is known inside the Pentagon as synthetic telepathy. In covert operations, it's designed to drive a target crazy with voices or deliver undetected instructions to programmed assassins. I have had targeted individuals contact me, and I've had this situation occur to them where they were in complete terror. They were being shown horrific visuals in their minds, satanic things and dark things and horrific violence and horrific sexual what's the term? Violations, just on a horrific level. They were being terrified. They were being frozen with fear because of what was being pumped into their head. This is real. So when you hear targeted individuals talking about them seeing things or hearing things, or they're getting some kind of attack or assault on their body, that is a reality. Okay, in the past, it was discarded as people being, oh, you're just crazy, man. Well, I mean, you're hearing things. What are you doing? Smoking wacky tobacco? Are you dropping some kind of drugs? Are you doing some kind of illicit, stuff, man? What, are you been drinking too much? What is going on with you? And I think this is the reason why people are driven to alcoholism or driven to medications, is because they are hearing these voices and it's scaring the living bejesus out of them. ELF weaponry was the concept of a biological amplification of these signals at the cell level to perpetuate and set up resonance for more sophisticated information transfer. Electromagnetic fields or relatively weak power levels can affect intercellular communication. Electromagnetic fields or relatively weak power levels can affect intercellular communications. How much power is your cell phone putting out? How much power are these towers putting out? How much power is that Wi-Fi you have in your house putting out? How much power is that iPad you have putting out? How much power is that tower, those portable phones you have in the house putting out? Could be more than enough to affect the communications with the cells. And when you're talking nano metallics involved in this as well, they can further amplify these signals, because when they are that small, they can even transfer heat up to 10,000 times. When you're using nanocarbon or carbon C60 particles in the body, the amplification of these frequencies are off the chart. They're almost immeasurable. And you don't need a high-powered signaling at this point. All you need is a low frequency to get the same results because of the transference of the information through the carbon. Bioamplification is apparently why radio signals of very low average power, milliwatt, can produce audio effects and is difficult to detect. Imposed weak low frequency fields and radio frequency fields that are many orders of magnitude weaker in the paracellular fluid between the adjacent cells, then the membrane potential gradient voltage across the membrane can modulate the action of hormones, can modulate the action. How many women are having PMS issues? Can't figure out why you're having these issues at an early age even. How many guys are incapable of getting erections anymore? Possibly because of the nano involved in your testicles, and then these frequencies activating the hormones or deactivating the hormones. Antibody neurotransmitters, cancer-promoting molecules at their cell surface receptor sites. This is what we are being exposed to today. This is the level of toxicity we are dealing with today through these type of technological things. We need to start thinking in terms of campaigning on getting rid of cell phones, campaigning of getting rid of some of this technology that is causing this kind of thing to happen. So the president of the FTC made this comment. His comment was that we need to put this out because it produced $10 billion. And that's important, because with corporations and corporocracies, all that matters is profit. Doesn't matter who pays for it. Doesn't matter of the level or venue of people who are getting affected by this. It doesn't matter. All that matters is the bottom profit margin. Now, if you want to see this guy get kicked out, quit using the services. I keep telling everybody, you have more power at your disposal than you're aware of, but you're not exercising your power. See, they've given you the means to control them with money. And if you don't spend your money on these products, and you quit using these products and go back to a technology that is relatively safer, then what you're going to see happen is a lot of these projects are going to cease and desist because there's no profit in it. Not because of the health concerns, which they will advocate on TV. Well, we decided to quit using these things because there was a health concern and we weren't sure about the health implications, so we decided to stop the promotion of these products, blah, 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 blah. That's always the status quo. It's always been that knight in shining armor nonsense that they propagated. But the reality is because people quit using these products, and it caused a surge of decline in the profit margin. That's the only way. If you want to hurt a rich man, take away his profit. If you want to hurt a politician, take away his profit. If you want to hurt a lobbying group, you really want to put the boot to a lobbying group, quit supporting their products and watch them wither and die. That's the bottom line. Okay, I'm gonna have to call this right now. You got the Microeffect Broadcasting Network. I can't tell you enough how you need to support this network. Instead of supporting these bozo groups and these goofy gurus out there, you need to support this network that's actually giving you real hardcore facts and not fluff. Shows like this one and others that are on this network. So support the Microeffect. Give them what you can. Help them any way you can. Remember, don't ask what your activists can do for you. Ask what you can do for your activists. Support them any way you can. You got byebyebluesky.com, Brian396.com, gagcanada.com, augmentinforce.com. Information that's all across these sites that can help you defend yourself in today's times. Read these things. Pay attention to these things. Learn from these things. You can no longer assume anything. And these sites will give you the means and ways to arm yourself in ways that you can defend yourself. Augmentinforce.com. There is a catalog link there if you feel free to access it. I also do consultations. You're looking for the flash drive. You're looking for a bucket. You're looking for a triangle. You're looking for a pulsar. You're looking for general information on books. It's all there. So feel free to get a hold of me. Independs@yahoo.com or contact me here at 519-977-5351. All right. You have to pay attention today. 2018, we have an artificial intelligence operating system operating on DNA. Where did this DNA come from? You need to start asking these questions. You need to quit being comfortable, sedated. Turn off the damn TV. Shut off some of the radio programming that you're listening to, the fluffy crap, you know. If you want to learn how to cook, go on the internet. You can learn how to cook there. But start paying attention to what is going on. The sedation has to stop. You have to get off your dead end. You have to take the bull by the horns. And you have to start researching and understanding and then coming up with ideas and principles and concepts to defend against what is going on today. And make sure you can test it, make sure you can validate it, and make sure it's not some placebo effect that you're feeling, thinking that, oh, I'm feeling whatever, but it's purely placebo. Test these things. That's the best thing I can tell you. Don't listen to these gurus, especially when it comes to nano. Majority don't have a clue. Until they start understanding the nature of nanobiology or nanobiotech, they are in the dark, and all they're doing is propagating things that are from yesteryear, yesterday, yestertime, history. We are living in a synthetic reality. We're living with synthetic biology, and we're living in times, again, where you cannot afford to be stupid or ignorant. That's the way it is. That's how it is, okay? And some of you are going to be afraid. Good. I don't apologize for that. You need a little bit of fear if that's what it takes to wake you up. Some of you need a bap in the head. Great. If that's what it takes. You get it. But the only way you're going to learn sometimes, some of you, is with pain. And some of you won't listen to reason, then pain will be your teacher. That's the way it is. That's how it is. That's life. And then you have one or two options. You either live or you die. That's it. Nothing else. It's pretty simplistic. Everything in between is what it is. Entertainment and distraction. We're living in a world today where life isn't worth much because life isn't doing much. And until you take the bull by the horns and take action, life isn't really worth living, is it? All you're doing is existing, waiting to just wander off into the sunset while they nuke you fry you and frizzle you with all these technologies, while they program you and activate you with nanobiology, while they strip you down with glyphosate, they strip you down with pesticides, and they break you down till there's nothing left, and all you are is just leftover material for more experimentation. That's the summation of your life, and that's all you want in this life, you're welcome to it. But if you want more, then you're going to have to change what you're thinking. You're going to have to change what you're doing. All right, we'll see you Thursday. We'll carry on then, and we'll continue doing what we can. All right, take care, eh?